Okay, so this is the video on how to create a Moroccan tile illustrated dress. So there are a couple of options, and then we're gonna do one and then we'll do another one. So number one is the collaging method, which is when you have your design, you trace over the dress and just put it here. Take your pencil, kind of trace it out and just cut it. So we did it before, and I'm sure you're familiar with that technique. And for this purposes, it's better to use this regular school glue because that kind of works very effective, doesn't leave any marks. And it's best if you use it on the paper first. So just add your glue. Make sure it's well glued at the edges because that's where it first comes unglued. Those are the areas. Would be good to use a little tweezer, or if you can manage it to do it very carefully, it's fine. You can, I'm sure by now you've learned how to do collaging. So then what you do is you just put it on the dress where you've marked, and I'm doing it very carefully so to find the actual areas where it's matching. And here is my base. I didn't do any skin tone, as you can see, yet because I'm going to show you a different technique on how to approach rendering this garment. So it's going to be a little bit different from what we've been doing before. And what we've been doing before, it was more of a regular rendering style. And this is going to be more of a model drawing style, which is more like line base and more kind of black and white. So for this, I'm gonna start with my lighter skin tone. And I have my figure traced already, but I'm gonna just kind of quickly draw my base with a gray marker. So all my shadows I'm just doing with gray marker. And I'll show you in a second how to approach adding shadows to your garment. So instead of adding color, I'm just adding black and white shading. So on top of the legs is going to be, right under the skirt is going to be more shadow. The leg that's pushing back is going to be in a more shadow. This one is going to have shadows, but it's kind of stepping forward, so we have a little bit more light. And now I'm gonna let it dry for a second and go and do the color blocking, and that's the reason I left that little part of the skirt untouched. So I'm gonna just do blue color blocking here. So here I added some here. Now I want to add some shadows on a dress to blend it a bit more. So as we learn, you have some shadows under the bust line when the body curves, so it's like a cylinder. So on both sides you'll have a little bit more shadows, and that's what I'm doing with my gray marker. When in my case it's blue and white, so gray marker works fine. If you have red, brown, or some sort of different color, in that case it would be appropriate to use kind of a tonal marker. That would be fine. So if you can see here what I'm doing, I'm adding shadow in an area where you don't have a body, like in between legs and on the side, because those are the areas where you're going to have that garment kind of collapse and have more shadow. So here this is kind of continuing on the side, and what I'm doing here is with gray, I'm just slightly blending in because I don't want harsh shadow lines. So with the gray, I'm gonna blend the blue, and I feel I'm just gonna add a little bit more on top of it. So what I was saying, you can use a tonal color for shadow. So let's say if it's blue, you can use blue to add shadows on both sides so it looks a little bit better blended. So in this illustration style, I'm gonna use, as I said, model drawing technique, and I'm gonna use my pencil and a Tombow brush, which is this. So I'm gonna use my pencil. So for finer areas like the face, I wanna be a little bit more careful and just use my pencil. I'm still gonna keep it pretty abstract. I don't wanna go and do very kind of a detailed drawing. I'm gonna keep it very modern. And so kind of very linear. In the eyes, I tend to like having a little bit more like eyeballs. I think it's better than without it. It's just, you know, depending on the clothes. If it's more avant-garde, I think it's fine. It's just in this case, it's a pretty classic dress, so I don't feel I want to go too avant-garde with that. So here I'm gonna work on the edges, and what I want to do is vary the line quality here. So and then I'm just outlining, but I'm trying to use very nice line quality because that's crucial. So now my pencil is a little bit dull. I'm gonna sharpen it for a second because I like to keep Prisma pretty sharp, because then quality of your drawing is much better. So this is pretty straightforward. And I want to finish off with a little bit more outline with Tombow brush to just kind of pull everything together and tie it all in. So in certain areas you can kind of exaggerate and go over with your Tombow brush and make it a little bit more sharp. So with this, I want to add just a little bit of pink on her lips to just make it a bit more fashionable. If I want, I can just add a tiny bit on her eyes and cheeks just to have a little hint. If I want, I can maybe just do a little bit on the shoes. I don't have to, but to just kind of tie that blue a little bit more. Maybe I need to add a little here on eyes as well. But overall, this is that more of a model drawing style of illustration, which is fairly quick and looks pretty modern, I think. More of a modern day illustration. So if you want to experiment with style, this would be a good kind of area to explore. So this is one. Then in a second we're going to see a second approach on how to do the Moroccan print.